Hey everybody. Fucking red straight away. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my future considerations of bikes and why my thoughts have changed somewhat. And, you know, because I was always, I'm going to get a DRZ. And I hadn't looked into it too much at that point in time, as in how much things were going to cost and other options and stuff like that. Basically, I hadn't thought too much about it because it was such an irrelevant thing at that point in time, but obviously now it's not at all. It's going to be happening. And as I say, the DRZ thing, I would really like to have a DRZ, but it doesn't add much, because the benefits of having a supermoto is the fact that, you know, you can go on the road with it, but you can also go off-road with it, but I'm planning to keep both bikes. So this means that getting a DRZ isn't really going to add much. Yes, it'll be faster, and when I say it's not going to add much, I mean it's not going to add much in the sense of, well, I could get something like an SV. I didn't say I was going to get an SV, I said I was considering something like an SV, and by like I mean a naked bike. Not interested in sports bikes, nothing with clip-ons, just not for me. I'm quite fussy on looks. I don't want a fared bike, so it's got to be naked. And I would also be very interested in having a V-twin opposed to an inline 4, just for having that low down power, you know, because it's a more usable range. Of course, everyone's going to have varying opinions on this, and, you know, I've had an awful lot of opinions voiced to me from many different angles, and I do appreciate them because it does make me think in different directions. And I look into it and I'm like, yay, that's something to think about, nay, maybe not. Obviously, some people aren't thinking about this from the same point of view that I am, because, you know, we're each individual people and we all have the wants and needs of a bike, and you know, as I've always said, it's personal preference is the biggest thing of everything, pretty much. But yeah, looking at DRZs now, the average price is about £3,000. Yes, there are ones which are available for less than 3,000. You can spend anywhere from about 1,800 upwards, and there's a few around. Well, I haven't seen many, but apparently there is a few around going around for about £2,000. And it's like, well, for £2,000, I'm getting not a particularly new or not particularly up and together bike necessarily. Yes, okay, there are examples of people. You know, it's a problem. I have to preempt everything I say. It gets really irritating. Yes, there are examples of where people have got a £2,000 DRZ and it's been perfect naked, everything's been fine, everything's great. But it does seem like the average is, you know, around the 2 to 3 mark, shall we say. Now, for the equivalent money, I could get something completely different to a supermoto because I already own one. Because there's a lot of people who say, yeah, but you know, a 125 supermoto isn't the same, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I know it's not quite the same. Put your lights on. But what it offers, what a supermoto offers, is kind of not related to the CC of it necessarily. It's its abilities to go on road and off road and go anywhere, pretty much. You know, that's what it offers. This bike will do 70, and yes, it's not entirely comfortable doing it, and a DRZ will be much more comfortable doing 70. But then something like an SV650 would be much more comfortable doing 70, and I could do some longer trips and feel happier doing it. Not to say that you can't do that on a DRZ 400, but you see what I'm saying? It's if I was only to get one bike, then yeah, I agree. To go completely lose the supermoto's abilities would be a sad thing. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because 90% of the riding I do is on the road. But I do love to be able to go green laning, and having this as a backup bike and also a machine to go green laning with means that that's not such a problem, which means I can open my eyes a bit more and look at different things that are available and experience a new type of bike, because, you know, supermoto is what I've always ridden, and there are a reason that people like naked bikes, you know, road bikes, because they have their own benefits. The reason I keep referring to an SV as a bike that I would be interested in getting is not because it's the only other bike that I've ridden. It's just, I really like the look of that bike. I really like it. I always, before I got sort of really into supermoto, get away from my arse. I was always thinking, oh, I'll get a Bandit. And Bandits are nice, but I don't know, it's just now I don't know. It's still an option. As I say, I'm not set in any direction at all. I'm very much, I have to think out all my possibilities, because it would be silly to be closed-minded, go and buy a DRZ and not think to even possibly consider going down a different road. Now, obviously, a lot of people have said, well, you know, there's a middle ground there. There's the adventure bikes, like a Triumph Tiger or the XT660 or anything like that. And it's true, yes, there is that option, but they are pretty damn heavy. I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of looking around, and I've been doing a lot of discussions with Furious, because me and Furious literally spent months looking through bikes for him when he sold his last bike and was trying to decide what to get next. And yeah, so we sort of say, so we've done a lot of talking about this. We've done a lot of considering of angles, because he was in the similar mind to me. He was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to get. So that's basically where I am mentally. I'm thinking wider. I'm thinking of more things, because the things that I really want to do, more than just going green laning, is I want to do more trips. I want to go further. And something like an SV, like he's saying, like an SV, would be a better option than getting a DRZ, I feel. I mean, as I say, it would work, there's no reason it wouldn't, and it's, for some people that's what they want to do. But as I say, I'm going to have both bikes. I can do something different, I can go down a different line. There is also this overriding problem of height. Now, I had to explain this many times in the third part of the Isle of Wight meet. I'm 6'4". I'm 6'4", I've got fucking knees, I'm not good at getting onto small bikes and being cramped right up. The SV felt okay, it was a little bit cramped, but I think part of that was just not being used to that position. So say I was to get something like the SV 650 naked, I would probably raise the bars an inch, get some dropped pegs on it, just to give me a little bit of extra room on the legs. Obviously adjust all the foot controls to suit that better, and get the angles right, and it would be a lovely bike to have. And I mean, I'd be happy with that. I've seen some absolutely lovely bikes at ridiculously good prices, comparatively. While we were looking, we came across a few bikes. One that was about 1,300 and had like 31,000 miles on it. It didn't have an MOT, but it did look like it was in good nick. The reason it didn't have an MOT is the person's out of the country. But it looked a little bit iffy and maybe slightly too good to be true. But then we found an 07 bike with 21,000 miles, full service history, absolutely mint, so clean. And it was 1,850 quid. Spend an extra 500 on the bits that I want, put a nice exhaust on it and make those little modifications that I need to make, and come out around 2-3 and have a very, very nice bike up and together, and have the modifications done to it that I want to start with, and we're all good. Subscriber, or just saying hello? I don't know. Motherfuckers! They put wooden posts in! Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is this like slalom now? No, you can't slalom this, or you kind of can. Yeah, so so just say 2,300, and we're looking like, bike done for the start anyway. I can build onto that in the future. To get a bike in a similar sort of up and together condition that's something like a DRZ, we're talking closer to the £3,000, going on year and mileage and stuff like that. So as I say, obviously this is all sort of pie. It's not pie in the sky so much, because it's going to happen, but it's open thinking. And the problem with open thinking is people think it's my final thought, and it's really not. It's just final thinking. I might completely change my mind in a few weeks. I'm just being honest with you and opening up and saying this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm considering. I do appreciate people's points of views on these things, because we're all bikers. And there's a tennis ball. Where'd it go? Oh. But part of the problem with getting so many suggestions and recommendations and people's points of views, which are different because they have different wants and needs in their bikes, is that it kind of waters it down to the point that it almost becomes meaningless. I mean, it's like, imagine you're painting a room and you're going to say, what colour should I paint this room? And you get a suggestion for every single colour in the world, or the spectrum. Can you see that? That doesn't help you. And everyone's got such differing opinions on what is and isn't right, that it completely just kind of cancels each other out in a way. So as I say, the criteria aren't as tight as they used to be for me. It doesn't have to be a supermoto, I've realised, and I think that's really good actually, that I've decided to open my eyes a bit more and go for something different maybe. It's not to rule out a bigger supermoto or similar style bike. Could not wait. So there you go. I think you can see where I'm coming from here. I've got to really think this out, and if I don't think it out now, I can make a snap decision and not feel like I've made the right decision. Because when you have laid the money down and the bike's there, it's there. I mean, obviously you can then sell it if you've decided that you made the wrong decision, but it's better to just go with it first time and get the right one. I'm also going to say one other thing that, I don't like this. There's no one behind me. Go on. Go on. Go on. There we go. Yeah. Fucking Ford at the crash site. Not repeating that one. A lot of people are saying, oh, you see now, Spice, you see, the bigger bikes are always better, blah, blah, blah. No, I still completely disagree with you. I think the 125s will always have their place, and they have benefits over bigger bikes that just, they can't be taken away from it. The ability to be able to just thrash this thing around small roads and have a shit ton of fun doing it is not something you can necessarily do on a bigger bike. You can't go through the gears, through the rev range in all the gears on something bigger and stay, legal. It's not going to happen. You'll be breaking the law quite quickly. And you break the law quite quickly on this, depending on what road you're on. Maybe part of that is my age. Because, I think a lot of people who are younger and have been on a 125 for a while are like, I want something faster, I want something, more exciting. And they do that. And then a few years later, they start to say things like, do you know what? I actually really miss my 125. I can see the appeal of them. And I know of people who've got 1000cc bikes and 125s because they can see the benefit of both sides. Some people won't see it that way. Some people won't possibly see how a 125 could have any benefit at all over a larger cc bike. But that's because that's your point of view, and it isn't mine. One headlight, give it to me, but not in my face, because it fucking hurts. The truth of it is that I don't actually need to get a bigger bike. I still don't. I've got the money to do it. I'm going to be doing my licence first, and then I'll be looking into getting my bike. And I don't actually need to get a bigger bike. It's going to be a want, and it's going to be one of the first wants that I've allowed myself to buy in a long time. I mean things that are, more than a few quid. Anyway, yeah, I think you can probably hopefully see better now the way that I'm thinking about things and why I'm possibly changing the way that I thought about things before. As I say, we're all human, we change our minds, we rethink things are opened up to us, changes our mind in the future. I'm not set in any way, shape and form in any direction at this point in time. As I say, I do have those limiting factors of the fact that I do want a naked bike, I don't want a sports bike. I would like a V-twin over a inline 4, and that really does limit your choices. It's narrowing down. It's like a game of Guess Who, but it's like Guess the Bike. And we're knocking ones out here and there. So there you go. I'm going to stop talking about it. I think hopefully some of you will understand where I'm coming from here. I know I'm going to get lots of comments from people who aren't going to understand my point of view and going to make some suggestions that are just ludicrous, And there'll be other good ones in there, so I'm really interested to hear your point of view on this one. But as I say, you have to appreciate I am 6'4" and I don't have the good knees, and I don't really want to be completely smashed up on the bike. There are plenty of modifications that can be made to improve this quite easily. There you go, I'm going to shut up now, stop talking. I'll catch you all next time. Bye bye.
It allows exhaust out. Now people will tell you all sorts of
Audi
stuff about
driver,
the colouring of
convertible,
this and what it
moves
means,
out the
and
way,
if it's running
thumbs up
rich
for
or
you,
mean, or
love.
if it's this problem,
You're
that
a
problem.
lovely person.
But I don't know.
You know, people very
And I
often
don't really
try
care.
to say that this might...
So yeah, that